Hello, this is Bwana from Bwana.tv, and today I'm going to be talking about Microsoft Flight Simulator. We're going to be showing you all a flight I'm going to be doing using OnAir Airline Manager. If you don't know what OnAir is, it is a career mod that closely integrates with Microsoft Flight Simulator. So what does that mean? If you've ever played games like Euro Truck Simulator, where you start with some money, you can buy a truck, you can own a company, you can take out loans, you can do jobs, you can unlock skill points. That's similar to what we have here. OnAir Airline Manager is a career mod that gives you some progression in Flight Sim. There is a free version of a career mod called FS Economy that is very popular, but currently it is oversaturated, overloaded because it's so popular, and the volunteers can barely keep up. But it's very noble for a free project. Currently, I'm leaning towards OnAir because it is a paid product and it's able to keep up with the demand. And I think it's an overall higher quality product. So I'm going to walk you through a simple job flying some cargo or some passengers or something. So in OnAir, you have what's called a virtual airline. And I'm going to click on Manage Virtual Airline so you can see ours, which is called Bwana Air, which just got off the ground a couple days ago. To start a virtual airline, you have to be on the Thunder server. It's the hardcore server on OnAir. OnAir currently has 3 different servers: Cumulus, Stratus, and Thunder. Cumulus is the easy mode, Stratus is the middle ground, Thunder is the hardcore mode. Currently at the moment, the hardcore mode, Thunder, is the only one where you can create a virtual airline. And the benefit of a virtual airline is that you can hire players. You can get players together to form a virtual airline to do different jobs and to essentially make money together. It's very similar to FSE's groups, but it's a little bit more complicated. Actually, it's not that much more complicated. It's just a little bit different. So our virtual airline, we've got 188,000 cash, 88,000 company value. And again, I had to seed $100,000 in this in order to make it happen. And you get to keep that 100,000. The benefit of this virtual airline is that you get access to the entire skill point tree. So if I show you the skills tree, if you look in here, all of this is available to you through a virtual airline. Normally, if you were to play your own company and not form a virtual airline, you would have to unlock these through the progression system, through XP. So everything for the type of load you can carry, get a passenger's license, hiring employees, creating FBOs, and dealing with banks. They have different levels of progression. You would have to unlock these if you didn't have a virtual airline. But when you do virtual airline jobs, this whole tree is available to you. So I've already set up a job that we're going to do. The way it works is that in OnAir, you can set up managers to dispatch jobs to your employees. And right now, the system is definitely under load. Today is the day before Labor Day, and I think everybody's on here because right now, FSE, the freeware version, they're not taking any new signups. So I think everybody wants to try this kind of stuff. They're all coming to OnAir. So looking at this, I'm going to go to the pending jobs, and you'll see all the dispatch jobs that we have out so far. I think we've got about 10 people so far, and I'm currently at KEKX right here, which is the Addington, which is a size 2 airport. I'm going to click on the job here so you can see it on the map, and that's where KEKX is, and we're going to fly to 17J, and this is a pretty long route, 404 nautical miles, and it goes a little bit south. And the reason why I'm taking this route, not for the money, because it's only 8,500. Well, that's pretty good. Is that I do want to make my way a little bit further towards my home, my base, which is Jacksonville. KJax is my current base. I recently took a series of flights to the north, and I transported some people up here by Indiana and Michigan and Illinois, and now I'm making my way back down. So I wanted to get some jobs to head down here. So we're going to take this job, KEKX, to 17J, 404 nautical miles, and I have a TBM 930 that I'm going to be flying. Eventually, I'm going to be probably bouncing between KJax and going up the East Coast all the way, probably as far north as Washington, Dulles. And I'm going to be doing jobs along the East Coast. The cool thing about these virtual airlines is that, you can have multiple people doing multiple things. Let me uncheck show other airports. You can see all the planes that our virtual airline has in play right now. And it's pretty cool. Like I said, we've got about 10 people and we're growing. I'll put the virtual airline information in the description. If you want to join us, you can do so. So I'm going to go back to my company. Since this job is already dispatched from the virtual airline, I'm going to go to my company and then I'm going to pick up that job in OnAir. And then I'm going to load in the sim and then we're going to fly. Okay, so we've loaded back in here. I'm going to go to the pending jobs over. Well, actually, I'll go to the live status or live operations dashboard, and you can see the different planes that I have assigned to me. Now you can rent different planes in the virtual airline, and then you can assign them to different people. I only have 2 assigned to me, even though we probably have like 6 or 7 rented out so far. So the TBM 930 right here, which is what I'm going to use. I'm going to click prepare for next flight. And currently, you can see that I have the 2 jobs here that I can pick from. I've got the food crates and the printed magazines. The printed magazines is the one I want. That's the 404 nautical miles, the 17J. So I'm going to go ahead and check that. And, that takes a lot of my weight away. So I only have a range of 226 nautical miles. Now, this might be a little close. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this. I'm going to give myself some gas here. I'm going to fill up as much fuel as possible. It looks like I can do at least 50%. And that'll take me 621 nautical miles. So given that this is a 421 nautical mile job, that's enough fuel for me to make it there with the load that I have. But it could have been closer than that. I have had some squeakers. We did one on last night's stream where I actually ran out of fuel right when I was coming in. Right when I was coming in on the final approach, I ran out of fuel. That was fun to watch. I should clip that out and put that up on YouTube. All right, so we've got our fuel ready. We've got our passenger cargo set to go. I'm going to click confirm and go fly now. And it's transferring the work order to the apron agents, and they're going to start loading this on my plane. And there's a animation and a time lapse with this. So you actually have to watch it go. It's not instant. And that's a skill point. You can actually get faster cargo loading and faster gassing up, I guess you can call it, faster fueling operations through skill points. And man, this is usually fairly instantaneous. This is like 1 second, but today has been the busiest day. So we'll just use YouTube magic of time. Oh, never mind. We don't have to employ the magic of time. So as you can see right now, there's the animation. The cargo is loading. Main time 0.6 minutes. So that's not too bad. And while that's loading, there's multiple steps here. Step 1, fuel passengers payload. Step 2, intended destination. Step 3, select the crew. Step 4, fly in your simulator. So our destination, according to our manifest over here on the right, is that we're going to 17J. I'm going to type that in on the right side here. 17J, Donaldsonville Municipal. Okay. And we're still gassing up. So we're going to wait for that to go. And it says cargo okay. And everything's ready to go. So now I can click go to flight tracking page where I can stand by to start tracking my flight. And right now I am connected to Microsoft Flight Simulator. It is tied to it through SimConnect. And there's no flight tracking in progress because I haven't done anything yet. So I'm going to actually switch over to the sim now and get the flight ready. Okay, we're in Microsoft Flight Sim now. I'm going to click on the world map. I'm going to choose the right plane. We are flying a 930, TBM 930. And I have a bunch of liveries installed, so we're going to choose a cool one for the YouTube video here. Let's go for the blue, cyan, and cream. That's a nice looking one there. I'll put the link to the, well, actually, I'm not going to put the link to the livery pack because it's going to be different. All right, so we're going from KEKX to 17J. And that's our route that we're taking. Okay, we're just going to do a direct GPS. We're not going to do anything, any kind of IFR or anything for this one. And should be about an hour, 404 nautical miles. This is a very fast plane. That's why I like it for these long trips. Even though it can't carry a lot, it can get there really fast. So I'm going to click fly, and then we're going to load in the sim. I'm going to fly with, I think this might be a nighttime flight because I have set my time offset to be 12 hours from my time zone. I usually do this stuff at night, and I usually want to do day flights. But I think we'll see what happens when I choose this. So I'm going to load in the sim, and while that's loading, I'm going to do a dangerous thing in Alt-Tab. And you can see a lot of these check marks here where some of these were X because they couldn't find the model of the plane. They couldn't find the location. So once the sim loads in, I'll be able to start tracking. But there's a trick to OnAir so you don't get penalized, because in OnAir, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of limitations and rules that you have to follow. Otherwise, you'll get negative reputation. An example of that is if you bank more than 45 degrees, you'll get dinged for that. If you go over 10,000 feet altitude with your landing lights on, you'll get dinged for that. So there's little rules and stuff that they employ that are based on real flight rules that you get dinged for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the runway, but OnAir requires you to do a cold start. So one of the rules you have to do is you have to do a cold start, and your beacon light has to be on before you start tracking. So I'm going to turn all the lights off. And let's see, dimmer, cabin, access. I think all of these are off. Make sure I turn off the taxi lights and just leave nothing but the strobe light on, right? Okay, this is off, this is off. It's kind of hard to see with the lighting there, if that's on or off. And then, now that all that's off, I'm going to turn the engines off with Control-Shift-E. Right? And everything is off except the strobe. So I'm going to go over to OnAir, and I'm going to start tracking now. That is not OnAir. That's my verse. It looks like the icon a little bit. I'm going to start tracking. And it's going to put its hooks in there, and it's going to change the time of day to whatever OnAir wants it to be. And just like I suspected, it's going to be a night flight. That's fine. We'll do a night flight because my time zone offset is 12 hours. I could change that to whatever I want. I just forgot to change it back. Okay, so now that we've got that set, we can actually turn stuff back on. And we're going to turn the post lights on, strobe lights. We're going to turn on the landing lights, dimmer, cabin, and access light. Okay. Coming down below, let's see, I can stop driving you guys crazy with this master warning stuff. Okay. I could turn on some floodlights. Where are the floodlights on this? Actually, this will be good enough. I couldn't remember where. I can't remember where. I've been flying like other planes, and I just don't remember where all the things are. I think the knobs I'm used to are in the Caravan. Okay, so we've got all that set. The lights are back on. So now when I turn my engine on, using Control-E, hit the starter up here, because that's not working for some reason. Hold this for 2 seconds. Here we go. Sometimes Control-E works
until you land and shut down the engines.
Justin is happy about that. It does support text-to-speech, and if you have any kind of text-to-speech voices on your system, OnAir will use them. I have Justin, and I also have Amy, which I use for the Elite Dangerous. I can use any of those voices, so I probably should turn that down a little bit. Let me turn that down to the magic of time. Okay, so through the magic of time, I went to the sound mixer and I just turned down OnAir. It's a little bit of a annoying thing that you have to turn the volume down every time you launch OnAir for the voice. Okay, so we're just about ready to go. This is a 405 nautical mile. I think I'm gonna cruise at 15K. So we're going to put our autopilot stuff in. And we're just going to set our altitude for 10,000. You can see I'm adjusting this number here, this flashing number. I'm going to set that for 15,000, not 10,000. We're going to do 15,000 feet. And I like to initiate my climb through vertical speed mode. So we're going to hit vertical speed toggle, and we're going to set that to like, I don't know, 1,000 or so. 1,500 is fine. And I'll do nav mode of FMS. So everything's set there. So now when I get to a comfortable spot, I'll hit my autopilot and it'll automatically climb to 15,000 at a rate of 1,500 feet per minute. And it'll use the FMS navigation. I think there's some separators on. I think all this other stuff is fine. Yep, I think that's pretty much all I need to do. Don't remember where I gotta watch when this video's over. I'm gonna be like, oh, that's where the cabin light stuff is. Is this a not CB light? That's circuit breaker light. I'm gonna find that light. Don't worry. Okay. So we are tracking in OnAir. Let me double check that. Yes, session duration 4 minutes. We are tracking. Okay. So now all I have to do is fly the flight. So let's get in the air. Okay, we're gonna hit the parking brake and off we go. I have been playing this game for approximately 2 weeks, so there's a lot of things that I don't know. I'm not a seasoned player. I've learned a ton of information in a short amount of time. And people came to my stream last night. They were like, Bwana, are you a real pilot? I'm like, no. They were like, how do you know so much? I'm like, I've only been playing a couple weeks. I'm like, I don't think I knew a lot at all. But lo and behold, a lot of these things are staying in my brain, so that's good. Okay, landing gear and flaps. And we're basically gonna go a little bit to the left on the heading.
Delta Alpha Hotel Tree Romeo is type Dare TBM 91 miles southwest of
and get on this magenta line and start our climb.
Request flight following. Dare Delta Alpha Hotel Tree Romeo Louisville approach. Squawk 5512.
Squawk 5512.
5512 Dare Hotel Tree Romeo. Dare Hotel Tree Romeo radar contact 2 miles southwest of Kilo Echo Kilo X-ray 2000.
All right, we're pushing a little hard here.
Altimeter tree 0.16.
There we go.
Copy Dare Hotel Tree Romeo.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit my inertial separator off. And we're gonna hit autopilot. And turn yaw dampener on. Let me zoom in so you guys can see what I'm doing. Usually I just click it. Yaw dampener is over here by the autopilot button. See that YD? I'm gonna tap that. And there we go. We are well on our way to the climb. Okay, I've just gotten back from the settings and I turned the nameplates off, so now that when I look around, you won't see all the nameplates, so your names are safe. Okay, so looking at our route here, this is a direct GPS route. Let me go ahead and zoom out here. I don't know why I hit that. Some of these things are touchscreen, some aren't. And we're gonna zoom in, or zoom out. And this is a pretty long flight. So looking at my fuel consumption, yeah, everything looks pretty good. I don't want to push it too much. My torque is pretty high though. So we're gonna kick that back a little bit. And NG's alright, ITT's alright, proper RPM is a little high. I can bring that back a little bit. And we're climbing. So we're about 213 knots climbing up to 15,000. And there's a couple of things on here that I learned in the caravan related to fuel. And I don't see it on here. There's like a fuel per hour. They have a GPM or GPH. I think that's it. Yeah, 57 GPH. think it was a different number on the Caravan. I'm pretty sure you guys will let me know in chat what those numbers are. Again, I just learned about that yesterday, so it's not really sticking with me. So KEKX to 17J, 394 nautical miles, bearing 177. ETE is 1 plus 41, which is probably going to really update once I get up there. All right, so we'll cut to the altitude when I get up to altitude, and we'll talk about what we're going to be looking at in OnAir. Okay, I am back. We are at 14,900 and 15,000, so we have made altitude, and I had to mute ATC because I got this thing going where it just constantly gives me the weather, and I don't know how to turn it off. It's something that started happening yesterday, but we're at 15,000, and we are on our way down. Let's go back to OnAir. We're on our way down here to 17J, which is down here by Georgia, Donaldson. And as you can see, it has a nice tracker here. We've already put in feedback that we want a dark mode, and I think the OnAir guys have heard about that. If you're watching this, you're like, oh, it's so bright. And yeah, it is bright, but yeah, they're moving it. So a little bit more about OnAir. Again, we do have a virtual airline, and while I'm flying this flight, I can't actually go into that yet. I can't go into the virtual airline and manage that because I actually have to log out of this and stop the tracking to log into the virtual airline. But I can show you my company by going to the dashboard, and you can see what types of things are here. A little bit about the servers while I'm here talking. I'm at 29,000 cash, right? And I was in the black, or I was in the red yesterday, and I owed some money because I took out 2 loans. I took out a $40,000 loan through the banking system, and I took out a $10,000 loan, and I paid those off yesterday because I did some long jobs, earned about 80,000, and our current virtual airline rate is 50-50. So the virtual airline takes 50% and I take 50%, while the virtual airline covers a majority of the costs. It turns out to be a pretty decent deal, given that the virtual airlines give me access to better missions and stuff. So I took out the loans, and you can see I took out one of these 19.6 APR ones, which was crazy. It was racking up fast, so I was glad to pay that off. Just to give you an idea of what's all here, if I go to my income statement, you can see here how much money I've made in terms of revenues and expenses. I guess this is where they kind of get your company value from. And like I said, a lot of stuff, finance charges. That's when I financed my my virtual airline. $100,000 went there. But I spent about $20,000 on renting. But since I've gotten the virtual airline, I really haven't spent any money on renting, except for the one where I returned it. You can rent your airlines through the virtual airline, or you can rent your airplanes through the virtual airline, and they'll cover the cost for you. So having money invested in the virtual airline is not a bad idea. I spent that much on fuel. I think the last time I spent fuel, was 9/3. September 3rd is when we got the virtual airline. So a lot of my expenses stopped on the 3rd, and the virtual airline is covering a lot of that stuff. So that's good. That's good for me. I got $3,000 from Excessively Salty. I think it was him. Yeah. And you see my cargo services. I've done $75,000 in cargo, and I've done $59,000 in passengers. Now that I've gotten access to medical missions, I think this is what helped us quite a bit. And you can see that I have VA pay for delivered cargoes, and I have payment for the goods transport. VA pay is, like I said, they take 50%, and you can set that. By default, the airline will pay the pilot 30% and take 70%. And we adjusted ours to be 50-50. Some people like to go for 60-40, especially if you're trying to raise money in the virtual airline to buy planes. So let's talk about planes for a second. If I go over to aircraft, or I go to world and search generate aircraft, the next thing that I'm looking to rent or buy is a King Air. So if I go here, I'm gonna choose in the list, And there's different classifications of airplanes. This is one of the differences between this game and between OnAir and FSC. In order to fly a different class of aircraft, you need to do a check flight, very similar to real life. And if I want to fly King Air, I would have to take the check flight for a multi-engine turboprop. And currently I haven't done that. That's on my list of things to do in the next couple of days. I have taken the check flight for a single engine turboprop, which is why I'm able to fly the 930 and also the Caravan. Multi-engine turboprop, you know, that's what I need for the King Air. So I haven't mentioned this, but OnAir does support multiple sims. So we've got X-Plane, we've got P3D, and we've got MFS. I think they call it MFS in here. Yeah, MFS. And I can filter those out by clicking on the sim category here and filtering it. And lo and behold, there is the Beechcraft King Air 350i, a Sobol. Okay, so we're going to look for one of these near 17J because that's where I'm landing. And you can see the airplane costs and rentals from here. If there's any 250 nautical miles away from this airport, there should be at least a couple. If not, I'll be very disappointed. Yeah, there's a few here. So you can see the rental price and you can also see the sell price. And I'll sort these by ascending. I guess that was ascending. And the cheapest one is 853K. So our airline doesn't have nearly that much. So we can't really buy a King Air if we wanted to, but we definitely can rent one. And with these rentals, I'm going to select this one since it's actually, that's not a candidate. I'm going to do the distance from that airport. 35 nautical miles is the closest one. It seems to be in decent condition. And when I go to details, you can see how far it is from the 100-hour inspection time. If you don't know what that means that you can't fly a plane if it exceeds 100 hours from its last inspection. And going to the details page will show you that data. So that's very important when you're renting a plane. You don't want to get a plane and then all of a sudden it's time for inspection and you can't fly it anymore. You want a good amount of time between your next inspection so you can have some time with the plane. OnAir is very popular today. I've been streaming it for the last like 3 or 4 streams. There's been quite a few other people streaming it. I think some of the bigger streamers have been doing FSE, but I'm leaning towards this because it's great. It's so much fun. And new players can't get into FSE, so a lot of the new players who are taking advantage of learning these mods over the weekend, they're going into OnAir because FSE is essentially down for new players. And through the magic of time, it loaded. That was quite the load time. So looking over here on the right, it says date of next annual checkup is 80 days and hours left before 100-hour inspection, 86 hours. So that's a good amount of time. So this is definitely a candidate to rent, and the image finally loaded. Again, for buying this thing, it is quite expensive. Now, when you do rent, you do have to put down a renting bond. It's like a deposit, and you'll get that back. So it'll be $31,000 to rent, and then another $3,100 per hour that you fly. Dry rent, and dry means that it doesn't include fuel. In this case, this thing has I don't think they show the current fuel capacity on it, and it does take jet fuel. That's something you need to know about these turboprops. They take jet fuel, and there's different types of fuels. There's regular fuel and there's jet fuel, and you need to be mindful of that because not all of the airports you go to, not all of the FBOs there have jet fuel. So you would have to go to the FBO section here, search for an FBO. I'm not going to do it because everything's kind of slow right now. You would go to FBOs and you would search for FBOs near this airport, 17J, and you would see which ones have jet fuel. And you got to make sure that you have a fueling station, otherwise you're going to be stranded. And that's a whole nother can of worms that you don't want to happen, because if you run out of fuel, or if you need to get fuel to the airplane and you can't fly to get it, you got to get another plane, go get some fuel containers, fill up the fuel containers with jet fuel, and bring those containers back. So you create a bunch of extra work by doing that. All right, let's go back to tracking, see where we are. The sim is running in the background. You can probably hear the engine flow. So we're probably like a fourth of the way there. We got a good ways to go. And again, this is the 930, TBM 930, and it's quickly becoming one of my favorite planes. The only downside in this mod is that it doesn't have a very large carrying capacity, but it is fast. It is so fast. It can get from point A to point B in lightning speed. So that's why I'm working my way up to the King Air. The King Air is a very similar type of deal. It's got a great cruising speed, and the benefit over the 930 is that the King Air can carry a lot more. So it's good for these hauling missions that we're doing and these passenger missions that we're doing. The King Air fits in well. But I need to pass my check flight first. I got to do the check flight for the King Air, which I heard isn't as easy as it is for the 930. Somebody said it was like 45 minutes for them, and it was kind of difficult. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so we're going to let the magic of time help us out as we zoom forward in this flight. And we'll let you all know when we get close. Okay, a lot of time has passed through the magic of time. We're back and we're about 60 nautical miles away. I'm going to start my descent to about 5,000 altitude. So let's go to the autopilot. We're going to punch in an altitude of 5,000. 3, 2, 1. We're going to throw it in vertical speed mode. We're going to drop it like 1,000 or 1,500 feet per minute. It's fine. I'm going to throttle down a little bit so that we can accelerate that decline a little bit. Yep. So this should get us down pretty fast. I understand there's calculations for making this happen a little bit more seamless. And one of the things I'm going to be doing next week is learning how to read charts and determining minimum altitudes and hopefully able to calculate what my descent rate should be before I reach a certain altitude, before a certain marker. Because if I'll bring up the VFR map here and zoom out a little bit. Yeah, when I do IFR stuff, you know, you'll have waypoints and markers and stuff here you can refer to. And with ILS approaches and that kind of good stuff. So it's all a lot of fun stuff. Tons of fun stuff. But we're coming in right now. We're at 50 nautical miles away. If you can't see that, it's actually right there. 50.5 nautical miles away. Descending. And we're getting there. ET is about 15 minutes. And the descent has started. Before I forget, I'm going to turn my landing lights back on when I hit under 10,000 feet. Otherwise, OnAir will ding me. I already got dinged earlier on my reputation. You didn't see it because I wasn't recording it. But I went above 10,000 feet with my landing lights on, and it was like, nope, you're not supposed to do that. And I lost reputation. So when I get my report later, we should see a loss of reputation for having the landing lights on above 10,000 feet. So when I get to about 10,000-ish, I'm going to turn them on. They give you a little bit of wiggle room because I think they understand that it may take you a couple seconds to do it. So it's not exact at 10,000. Actually, when I got to about 12,000 is when they actually dinged me. So I think they'll give me some wiggle room here when I get to about 10,000. Right now we're at 10,900. I'm going to hit my Stream Deck key. You probably don't see me clicking a lot on the controls because I have a Stream Deck mapped to a lot of keyboard shortcuts. Elgato Stream Deck, #ad. And my camera 5, the 5th camera, which goes up to the top, buttons up there, is mapped to... I have a button mapped to that. Alright, so when I get to about 10,100, I'm going to go up and turn the landing lights on. I don't have anything mapped to that. Oh, okay. I see. Okay, I was giving you guys compliments, and well, there you go. I was giving them compliments, and they dinged me as soon as I hit 10,000. There you have it. There you have it. So we're dropping down to about 5,000. About 42 nautical miles out. This 930 is very fast, so I can close in those 42 miles really quickly if I wanted to. But we're going to gradually decline and descend to altitude. Okay, we have hit 5,000 altitude, and we're just going to cruise for this next 33 nautical miles. I have ATC muted, but they are talking. You can see here, continuous plan. They've been telling me some different things. So one thing that's going to happen is that when I do request my landing strip, is that I'm going to have the landing guides on, and I still use those because I'm new to the game, number one. Number two, I have a hard time finding airports visually. So one of the things I'm going to be doing next week is I'm going to be using SkyVector, AirNav, and different sites to read charts and learn how to read them appropriately. Let me get some speed here. We're kind of pitching up quite a bit. Read the chart so that I can learn how to properly land, and so I don't have to rely on those landing guides. Now, I already know about the landing strips. I keep calling them landing pads. I'm sorry, because I play a lot of Elite Dangerous. The landing strips, I do know that the numbers correspond to the bearings, so that's something that I've learned over the past couple weeks. And I can use that coupled with the airport layout from charts. And when I do ILS, I can see glide slopes, I can see different approach angles and all this stuff to properly determine how to best approach the airport, and to do it without the big giant red brackets that are going to pop up. And that's my goal next week. I'm going to do a lot of that. I'm a little bit intimidated because the charts look really, really complicated. They don't seem very intuitive. And I've already learned a little bit about them, and I'm still confused. I imagine it'll take time to learn all that stuff, which I'm looking forward to. Alrighty then, we're about 13.3 nautical miles from the airport. And I think the co-pilot is going to automatically contact ATC around like 10 or 11 nautical miles out. And we'll try to request a runway. And we should see the magical brackets of life that are going to complain that I'm too fast the entire way down. Oh man, I still get a little impatient on landings. I know it's a bad habit, but yeah, that's going to happen. They're probably talking right now, but I have them muted. They're not talking. It'll happen. If it doesn't, we'll just find it the old-fashioned way. Circle a few times until we see it, and then come in an appropriate approach. There they are, popping up on my left. So we'll kill Autopilot. Drop our speed tremendously here. And see if we can get our speed reduced a little bit before I drop my landing gear and drop some flaps. Kill the throttle to almost idle as we're nosing down to kind of get in this approach angle. Of course, like I said, we're going too fast. Of course, we're going too fast. All right, one flaps, landing gear. Yeah, too fast, I know. So yeah, again, these brackets are part of the navigation aid. You go to the options and you go to assistance, and I think it's under navigation, and you just put on landing guides. I think that's what they're called. And these will pop up for you. So if you're like me, you're brand new, you don't know exactly where to go with airports, these will help you. But they're there to serve as training wheels, and eventually I want to get off of them. So that's my goal next week. Okay, so we're at about 150. I believe the ref on this is between, I think it's 85 and 90. I don't know what the VREF is on this. I was told last night, but I don't remember. All right, second flaps. Don't want to sink too much. Yeah, I think it's between, yeah. It likes 90. Between 90 and 95. So I think that's what my VREF is around. Between 85 and 95-ish. I think we're a little low, so I'm gonna give it some power. Give it some throttle here so we can get some altitude back as we come down. Of course, we're gonna kind of speed up with that. Let's do proper RPM full out. Yeah, so we leveled off a little bit, so we got some of that altitude back. I don't see PAPI lights or VASI. And I don't even see runway lights. So this might be a field or something. I don't know much about this airport. And that's another reason why I really want to learn how to read charts and stuff,
Wind
and
220 at 2 knots.
so that I won't be surprised every time I land at a place. I can see the strip, but I don't see lights. So that's a plus. All right, what's our RA? 588. And dropping. All right, we're going to kill our throttle a little bit as we nose down. And we're going to come in for a hopefully smooth landing. See if I can get below 200 feet per minute. RA 200. Little power, not a lot. RA 120. And line her up. RA 100. 80. Got about 50. All right, we're gonna nose up a little bit and flare.
Landing time logged. Landed at 17 Juliet. Donald
Not too bad. Was not too bad at all. Sorry about that herky jerk turn there. I put my feet on the pedals and the left one first. And it proceeded to turn. So we're just gonna get off the runway as soon as we can. I think this is a right turn here. Yeah. Whoa, no Tokyo drift, please. And I'm lagging a little bit, that's okay. Alright, and we're gonna stop here. And this is important right here. The shutdown procedures for OnAir. Put on the parking brake. Let's go up to camera 5 and look up here. Turn on the flashlight. So you want to turn off everything except the beacon. So very similar to what we did when we started up. Turn off all the lights except the beacon. The lights are the important part. And then shut down the engine. So I'm going to do Control-Shift-E.
Engine off, time logged. End of flight. Registered in OnAir company.
Okay. And then we'll switch to... Well, actually, let me get rid of the infernal beeping. We'll go back to OnAir, and it says your flight has been monitored by OnAir, the flight ID, and has the times of engine on and engine off. It gives me my XP. I got 20 XP for that. I'm sorry, I include 241 plus a 13% bonus. It's a valid flight. Job finished. Payment for cargo delivered. It's all good. So how did I get dinged on my reputation? Landing lights were on above FL 120. Yeah. Yeah. Landing lights were off during approach. Yeah. So I just messed up the landing lights and I got 0.04% dinged off my reputation. Lights were on at engine shutdown except beacon or strobe. I think this is an issue because I turned everything off. And I get this every time in the 930 for some reason. So I think that might be a bug. Or I could just be missing something. Comfort bonus, safety bonus not obtained. Don't know why I didn't get that. Oh, because of lights. Aircraft bonus obtained or aircraft handling bonus and night landing. I got 3% XP. And so on. Okay. So if I go and click OK, we can go to our final report here. We can go to my company, go to our balance sheet, or income statement is probably a better place to go. And let's do cash flow. Cash flow will be easier to read. And I can just sort by date, descending. You can see VA pay for delivered cargoes. That was like an 8,900 or 8,500 mission. The Virtual Airline paid me half, so I got 4,250, taking my balance up to 3,329. And I didn't have to pay like anything. Like there's no expenses, hardly. I did hire some pilots, and I had to hire some attendants for some previous missions, and it was only for one day. So they should be gone soon. Yeah, one of them's already gone. Actually, huh. These are AI attendants and stuff, and that really shouldn't be. I got to figure out how to fire them. I don't want to be. I don't want to be paying for their hotel if I can help it. So I saw their hotel costs. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's only $40, but still. So not a lot of expenses for working for VA. If I go to the VA side of things and look at the expenses there, you're going to see a lot more things happening here because the Virtual Airline covers the bulk of the costs. So if I go to the income statement here, or not income, the cash flow, sorted descending. Yeah. Renting fee, landing fee, parking fee, jet fuel, abandonment penalties. So it's just a lot of fees that are covered by the Virtual Airline. So yeah, this is a really cool feature for Microsoft Flight Sim. It adds a lot of progression, adds a lot of objectives, And I highly recommend it. Go to OnAir, www.onair.company. I will put the link in the show description. And you can pay as little as $3 a month for this. They have many different rates. The most notable one is the $10 per month if you pay monthly, which personally, I don't recommend that. They do have a 3-month plan where you can pay $15, effectively getting you about $5 a month. That's the one I chose. Or you can pay up to a year for $36, which gives you like $3 a month. I feel that a 3-month commitment is fair, especially if you do try the 7-day trial, which they do offer a free 7-day trial. If you like the trial, then I think you should go for the 3 months. I wouldn't do the $10 per month. I think that's kind of a, I don't know. I wouldn't go for that deal personally. That's just my opinion. They do have a 2-year, which is even less. Not that much less, but less. So if you want to commit for 2 years, you can do that as well. OnAir.company. Very, very, very fun. This is Bwana from Bwana.tv. I hope you enjoyed my flight and showing off OnAir from start to finish, from taking a job, finishing it, and get paid for it. Much more of this to come. I am going to be doing a lot of this on my live stream. You probably have noticed on my VODs that I've been doing a lot of OnAir on my live stream. And it just adds so much to a game that already has a big sandbox and a lot to do. Can be a little bit overwhelming. OnAir allows you to focus on certain tasks, but while at the same time seeing parts of the country or the world that you may not have went to think of, you may not have thought to go to before. So it's kind of taking you on a world tour as a side effect of taking all these delicious jobs. Lots more to come. Thanks for watching the video. Please comment, like, subscribe if you did enjoy the content. If you do want to help me out, join my Patreon at patreon.com/Bwana. You can contribute as little as $1 a month. We got merch on there now. Yeah, we got mugs that say good coffee from my other YouTube channel, Good Coffee. We got some mugs over there. So if you, I think it's the minimum is the $25 tier, you get a mug. And they're nice. They're nice. All right, guys. See you later. Take care. Have a great day.